Hello, everybody. I'm hoping you guys are feeling really energized after the first talk of the day. I always feel like data visualization is a great way to start things out. And now we're going to a platform that I personally use and actually adore, which is Audience. I am honored to be able to bring Javier here, who is actually the CEO of Audience, spelled with a C. And he's going to talk all about the platform, how you can segment audiences, how you can play around with it, and other really cool ways to actually visualize data. I don't want to steal his thunder, so I'm going to let him kick it off. So without further ado, Javier, welcome.
Thank you very much, Christine. Thank you, everyone, for for being here. So I'm gonna share my screen. Here you go. Hopefully, you guys. There you go. Hopefully, you guys can see it. I'm gonna start the presentation. There you go. Cool. So it's gonna be some slides to put the context. Then I'll show, I'll show you the platform as well. So just a quick introduction, myself, and a little bit the company. So I'm Javier. I'm one of the founders of the company. I'm as well the CEO. But my focus is especially in innovation. I play with a lot of tools and different platforms. We founded the company now a long time ago. We have offices in UK and Spain. We are now almost like 40 people, but we have a good footprint in the world with more than 1,500 customers. We have mainly two products, Insights and Connect. Today I'm going to focus more on Insights. And show you more about that social consumer segmentation, what that means, and how you can apply it to your use case. There you go. These are some of our customers. So we have a good maturity curve in terms of people that are using the product. We have more smaller agencies, freelancers that are using to understand more, their communities, but also we have big brands using us to, to really drill down into cultural insights about audiences. So this is what we're going to be covering today. So just a little bit about what is audience intelligence. So we call Audience our product an audience intelligence platform. So I'll tell you more about, what is that audience intelligence landscape, how it fits in the rest of the ecosystem. I think today, it's very important to understand the platform that you are using, but also how it fits in the ecosystem, right? It's even, it's not more important, but equally important. How, what other tools you can plug into, how it fits into the customer or into the end user, and how you're going to be using those insights. So you can complement them together, because the marketing landscape, the consumer understanding landscape is very messy. It's a lot of tools out there. And then I'll show you a live example of the platform, obviously, and then some case studies. So let's go. So what is audience intelligence? I'm going to start with the problem, right? So what audience intelligence is trying to solve, and it's a little bit of an identity crisis. And at the right, we can see how the Vice Media Group, how define people, how define audiences. And then on the left side, you can see how how ourselves define ourselves. So you can see how we define ourselves through personality, through values, through hobbies and passions. But that's not really the way that marketeers or researchers can identify people. So you have mismatch there. So the problem there and the challenge is that culture and understanding the culture of those audiences is very difficult, especially when culture is always on the move, and it's very difficult for the existing consumer segmentation, the understanding of consumer, to keep up. Especially now, from early in the century, where with social media, right, and how quickly things change. So that's kind of the solution is, and the solution that we propose is cutting the social data in such a way that allows to our users to put consumer segmentation and cultural insights at the center of your strategy. And what are those cultural insights? So what we think are, the passions of those audiences. What are the different segments that that an audience is shaped of? Obviously, the demographics, the audience overlap, the source of influence, but also the personality and what are the opportunities. And to understand that cultural insight for what? For, audience research and persona building, for doing better advertising, for content ideation, for digital PR and outreach, for SEO and keyword research, for influencer identification and outreach. So it's understanding people for a purpose, for to be actionable, no, and make easier to reach those audiences. And how it fits in the rank of the tech ecosystem, no? So I don't know if you're aware of this, of this basically photo, right, of this picture. It's chiefmartech.com, and this is the marketing technology landscape. So all the different platforms that at the other day shape the marketing technology industry. As you see, this is crazy. This is madness, right? And these are the different categories. We're going to be here in the social and relationship, and then around there, I think this is us. But imagine, imagine the brand, imagine, the label, imagine that end user that wants to understand more their customer, their consumers. Is craziness, right? So that's why it's very important to identify, when you are using a platform, identify the context of what platform is useful for, and how it complements the rest. So in our case, our position in the market, audience intelligence, is about providing insights of audience psychographics and demographics to create personas, and using social data as the source, of data to use. But, and this is, this is the G2. This quadrant comes from G2, which is a B2B marketplace for tools. And we are the leaders for audience intelligence, but we shouldn't confuse that with social media analytics, social media monitoring, or influencer marketing platforms, where we are as well. However, we are not a pure platform there. So that's why it's very important to kind of understand, not only the platform, but also the context. So you can use the best of each for the end customer needs. So now I'm going to move to show you kind of what is Audience. I'm going to show you the platform. So, this is Audience Insights, and, our customers come here and they basically create a new report. Okay. So you can create a report based on a number of things. So you can create a report based on profile attributes. So, this will be things like, age, what people they say in their bio, if they are a person, or if they are a person, or they are a company, followers of, gender, interest, job title, language, location. So you can build basically a replica of the audience that you want to know more about, and in here. But also you can do based on conversations. So it could be, a particular hashtag, a particular keyword, or a particular URL. And as well, people upload their own audiences, that it could come from social listening, the majority of them, but as well, they can come from your CRM. It will be, at the end of the day, audiences about a specific segment, maybe attendees to an event, maybe people that have been speaking about certain hashtag or your own filters in your social listening platforms, such as Brandwatch, Meltwater, Pulsar, etc. Now, when you create this report, that I already did one about, let me see if I get this name right, Pop Tropical Slats. Hopefully I pronounce it well, but this is the one. I basically analyzed their followers. Okay, so this is what our report looks like. I'm gonna stop now for a sec here in the bubbles, right? Because this is one of our USPs, and what I'm gonna show you what we're doing here. I'm going to tell you about what we are doing here. We are analyzing the followers of, this band that, by the way, I chose because the label was participating. I saw a particular label is participating tomorrow, I think. So I grabbed one of the bands so I could, put a use case that is relevant for the event. When I, and this is just an example of, a brand, like a band that you can analyze, but you could analyze, let's say, a bunch of bands, or that could be like a competitor, or similar style music, so you can understand more like the segments and the people that are actually behind a type of music. And when we analyze the audience of this brand, then what we do is we analyze how the members, how the people that follow this band, they are interconnected between themselves. So that's quite of unique behavior that you can analyze on Twitter in particular, because those segments, they are the people that really are, they are interconnected and they make things viral, right? I'm sure you know about the network effect, no? And why, something that is, just is tweeted by one person, then, get across many other segments. And the reason is because they are interconnected, they follow each other. So they retweet what they are retweeting, or they are tweeting their followers, and so on, right? So this is very important for your strategy when you are trying to gain a new audience, no? When you are trying to increase your new audience. I don't know this band, but I can see, like, very quickly understand kind of who is the audience behind. I can see like a punk audience. I can see as well like a hip hop fan segment. I can see as well like a Twitcher, more like a Twitcher segment. Why we are able to surface this information? Because what we do, that once we segment the members of the audience based on how they are interconnected, then we aggregate all the social elements that are available, that are publicly available through through their profiles, and surface what is more unique to them in comparison to the rest of the audience. That's the magical of social data, is cut in that way that you remove the noise of Twitter and just surface what is unique to that to this segment. So if I would compare this to traditional consumer research, you could compare it to focus groups, or to surveys where you're basically understanding a particular group at a very qualitative level, but also very deep, because the things that we are going to be aggregating about them are not only demographics, so you can understand gender, country, city, what they say in their bio, how they define themselves. So in this case are Twitchers, because actually they define themselves as, this is my Twitch profile, this is my stream, etc. But also because of the socioeconomics, the influencer and brands that they follow. What are this passion, these hobbies? They are the footprint that they leave is in their relationships in social. So, and here, just very quickly, I'm going to explain what we are looking at here. So here we can see that, this particular segment of Twitchers that are following this band, 35% of them, they follow XQC, which I guess is obviously is a streamer, versus 10% the rest of the audience. So here we provide with 20,000 affinities sorted by how relevant it is for this particular segment. So when the label of pop tropical lads, they want to increase their audience, then very quickly they have these different segments that they are there for a reason. They are for a reason, they are following the band, and for a reason, because that interconnectivity, they group in this particular segment. So obviously, when you are putting a strategy to, increasing an audience, to gaining and to, doubling down in that audience, is very different how that strategy is going to be if you, for Twitchers than for your bank audience. So when you go to the Twitchers, and let's take a look at this influencer and brands, and we compare it to the, the punk audience. There you go. Obviously, it's a complete different picture of, influencers, brands, magazines, all of that. Now here you can see like the bus. I'm more of a punk person, so I can see the, Blink 182. Yeah, the pop punk, not like hardcore punk, like no effects, but you can see how these affinities are completely different. So if you're putting on a strategy, and let's say, okay, I want to participate, I'm gonna try to put this band in a Twitch stream, something like that. So these are the Twitchers that actually are the influencers for that audience, right? Or if you want to, appear in a podcast, you can very quickly filter all these affinities just for the podcast. So you can go to, Toby on the Tele, or, the Train Wreck, which are, pretty big podcasts, by the way. They have a big reach, but, you can continue and filter these different affinities by the number of followers and at the categories. So you go to the particular entities where your strategy can play a good can play well, right? So and apart from influencer and brands, that is one of the things that our customers, they use the most to put these audience strategies. As well, we provide with interest, media affinity. So what TV, what radio, what online show these people are, have an affinity with, but also the content, right? What is the content that currently these people are liking? So you can see, like, YouTube videos that they are in the latest 30 days, they have been liking. So you can have here a lot to input in your content strategy, the type of emojis, and so on, right? So and lately but not last, as well, the personality. So this is more like, more aligned as well to how you should position your content. But yeah, as well, we do this in combination with IBM Watson, so you can create an effective messaging for this particular segment, no? So yeah, that's a very quickly, like, how one of these report only takes like 5 to 10 minutes, so you can see how very quickly you are gaining intelligence about an audience, and how quickly you can test hypotheses, you can test campaigns for different segments, to see, if your message, if your campaign is resonating with them. I've prepared, I'm gonna go back now to the presentation. I've prepared a number of case studies as well. So the first one that is related with the, that they have been using Audience for certain purposes, and they are music related. So the first one is how Audience Insights, so how they use our product to help a world famous opera house succeed in the digital age. So in this case is this opera house, which I'm gonna try to say the name, Bayerische Staatsoper. Sorry, I'm not German. It's a German opera house, but their goal was, twofold. It was increase the opera house social relevance, but also reach a broader segment of society. So the problem here was basically, they, by their understanding their own data, their CRM, they obviously they were aware that opera, the average age was around 57, and they wanted to reach that new audience. So what they did basically was, the first thing was assess the current customer data. and gather experience to guide research. So, they study their CRM data, and then they had interviews with the communication department, with the marketing department, but also with the people in charge of what type of operas they would be, appropriate for what is out there for the younger generation. So that was the first step, understanding a little bit the context and what they have currently internally. But on the back of those conversations and those new ideas to serve the new generation, they actually starting to feed those, those inputs into their social listening. So in that case, it was Brand Watch, what they use. But platforms like Meltwater, like Pulsar, to understand what the people, what conversations out there, what they are saying when they are talking about opera, but also what the younger generation is interested in, what topics are relevant for them. But also they analyze their existing audience versus that new audience. So in here, they compare what actually the current people are following the opera house, what are the people that currently are talking about the opera house, but as well, how that compares with those input from, what's happening right now with the younger generation, what that new diverse audience, how is segmented. So they could basically put a content, a new completely rebranding and a content strategy. So what those opera needs to be about to address those relevant topics. So including individuality, sustainability, diversity, and minority. And, although revenue wasn't the driving motivator behind that project, through digital advertising on the back of those insights that I showed you before about, what are the YouTube channel that these people are watching, what are the Facebook or Instagram entities that these people, they are following. So through the digital advertising, advertising influenced by that digital research, they were able to, near sold out the opera house and increasing the popularity in the younger audience. So this is a new case study that just we publish in our blog post. So in our blog, so it's pretty cool. I'll just give you like a little summary here. The second case study is about Wu-Tang Clan and Hulu, that they released a show in Hulu, and this is what those cultural insights that you are able to gather through our platform is the ability to. The people that were talking about the Hulu show, just really discrediting who they are, the Xbox gamers, the PC gamers, the alternative hip hop, but also understanding how, who they are, basically what are these affinities that they have, how you can separate, the alt hip hop versus the mainstream hip hop versus the Xbox gamers, but also how the conversation was propagated and how the conversation was across the different segments. So you can see how before they released the first episode, that is here, how the alt hip hop was the segment that initially started to propagate the content. So then when you are basically during the show, how you can use your advertising or your messaging to basically attract the different segments, right? And last but not least, another case study is about Fortnite Season 6. So, more and more music and video games are merging, right? And I'm not a Fortnite player, but I'm more than aware of the different initiatives that they have been created in Fortnite with artists, right? Like with Travis Scott. So in this case, what this case study was about was understanding the different segments and what they were talking about when they were talking about Fortnite Season 6. So this has been a while ago, okay? Before the trailer and after, more in the play period. So you see that through social consumer segmentation, how Fortnite was able to differentiate between dedicated gamers and e-sporters versus the Fortnite fanboys versus the hardcore e-sporters. But not only differentiate, the granularities of that audience, but also to segment the conversation so they could understand that Fortnite fanboys, they're interested in new skins, the cost of the different features, and the changes to the loot lake, versus the pro gamers and Twitch affiliates that they were discussing more about the gameplay, the lack of storyline, and the graphics. So you can understand how these granular insights about who is the audience and how they refer, in this case, to the video game, or or to how a particular record has been released, how important they are for content strategy and for advertising strategy. What's some of the takeaways that I want you guys to get from the talk that I've been doing. So first one is take your time to select what tools or selection of tools are answering what questions. I think this is critical today, especially with how messy is the industry, the marketing industry and the marketing technology industry, to understand an audience and to understand what consumers are demanding. So this is a key aspect, right? So yeah, that's the first one. The second is don't discard traditional methods to understand consumers, but also use them in combination with new methodologies that usually they are going to be cheaper and faster. So in that case of the Opera House, they didn't only focus on new methodologies like using social listening and audience intelligence in this case, but also they started with more the interviews, that ignite that input. So to improve how you use this new methodology. So think of that holistic view of what you should use to understand more your audience, right? And the third one is when it's about increasing your audience, it's never been so easy to test engagement with new audiences. What I mean by that is, in this example, never in the example that I was showing, it's very easy to go to Facebook advertising, Twitter advertising, and actually test your, the engagement rate that putting this band, this band out there for this particular segment and looking at which one is engaging better, right? And then focus your strategy in one segment. Why? Because at the end of the day, any particular any brand out there, or any or any band as well, they have started with a small segment, with the what I call the in audience, we call the early innovators, that are the people that a particular segment, they engage with you very well, no? And then that's those segments, those small segments are the one that they are gonna make you bigger, right? So so never has been so easy to identify those segments that are interconnected between themselves, so they can really make a difference if they talk about you, and then test how is your engagement across those different segments. So if you are going to be doubling down in one of them, then you have done your homework and you have tested before. So I think that is one of the key aspects of one of the key aspects, I believe, today marketing or reaching an audience or increasing a new audience hasn't been so easy. So that's the third key, the third takeaway. And then some follow-up materials. So in Audience, our company, Crossing the Chasm by Geoffrey Moore is a book that basically, almost everyone have read. Obviously, myself, I've read it many times. And, it's about how brands like, Tesla or, it's from 25 years ago. And it's about, it was about marketing and selling disruptive products to mainstream consumers. But they talk about what are the marketing tactics for each of the segment, the early innovators. And basically that's how your the leverage, these early innovators are your leverage for unlocking bigger audiences, and how you should basically reach them. But this was a book that it was focused on technology products 25 years ago, but today, because everything is based on technology, it's really helps to understand how brands like Tesla, they started with early innovators in tech sector and they scale, or how other example, like I say, like Rosalía, particular artist that she studied as well with a very focused niche in flamenco, and then how she grew up from there. So I really recommend this book. But the resources like the Social Intelligence Lab to get the most out of social and the social data is very good. They have a training and a course, and I think it's very, very good. And then case studies and resources in our blog, and as well in some of our partners' blog, where they show a lot of case studies, an example of how to utilize social data for for particular use cases. So yeah, so that's I'm gonna stop sharing. I think we have time for some questions. Hopefully that was I hopefully you learned a little bit today. So grateful that you guys were here listening to me. So yeah, that was everything. Thank you very much for listening. Should I go through the questions of the chat?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
I think Zoom's having some technical difficulties.
Christine is joining in right now. Mute yourself. All right, Christine is having some technical difficulties, so I'm going to go through some of the questions here. I'm going to try to work my way down through the top, so we have a little bit of order of semblance here. Looking through, does Audiense have any numbers on their ROI on their ROI that they help businesses attain through their platform?
Yeah. So
you're muted.
Sorry. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
You're still muted.
Can't hear you. Let's see.
Can't hear you either.
Cool. Yeah, you can hear me now, right? Cool. So, yes. So ROI is when you're in consumer research, ROI is I'm not gonna lie that it's not an easy thing. It's a difficult thing to measure. However, definitely we have case studies where on the back of our segmentation, digital advertising has improved significantly. And it really depends on the type of campaign, if it's awareness, performance, and all of that. But at the end of the day, what you saw in the example was you have two options. You have an option which is one message for your full audience, like thinking about an audience like a whole, or personalize and test different segments. And then ultimately, if you personalize to each of the segment for something in particular, Twitchers are going to receive a particular message much well if it's personalized to them than the punk audience, right? You are going to be talking about different content, about different things. So ultimately, the ROI resides in that segmentation. but I think it's a big topic ROI, so I don't want to oversell either. But yeah, I think that's a short answer.
Thank you, Javier. Thank you, John, for that. Great. Another question we're seeing here is what data is Audience using? Is it only Twitter? What other networks are included in, and what other data is provided for people?
So Audience is based on basically we gather data from many multiple social networks, but the reality is that interconnectivity data, which is key for segmentation and to understand those groups that they share strongly an interest, a hobby, a passion, is only available on Twitter. So what we do is, that seed data comes from Twitter, but then we append as much information we can from other social networks, always compliantly. And say compliantly because today the social data industry, there are many out there doing scraping. And scraping, is a big thing, for example, in some of the influencer marketing platform. It just is out of the 10 of services of, some of the platforms out there. So, we decided not to cross that path. However, as we basically gather as much information as is possible from these other networks compliantly. So yeah, hopefully that answered the question.
Great.
And just to say something there are, just to put an example, there are more than 500 million posts from Facebook and 500 million posts from Instagram posted on Twitter every day. So, it's as well, big topic there. I love that topic, by the way, but yeah, it has a lot of discussion there.
All right, I think we'll have time for maybe one more question. So someone asked, can data obtained from the Audience database be used to curate personalized products for particular consumer segments? So meaning, can they use data for them to build products with?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, especially to personalize, certain pros, certain features. The Fortnite case, I think, was a very good example, for more like that product feedback use case. At the end of the day, depending on what the conversation is about, then you could basically use it for multiple use case. But yeah, if at the end of the day, people are talking out there about your product, you are gonna be interested in who is that person, who is that segment, and how they refer to your product, so you can change to your product, your competitor's product, which is the beauty of social data, right? Is not only your customer data, is the outside world data. So yeah.
Amazing. I think that's a great place to end it on. So I want to say that, first of all, Javier, this is a great presentation. People are very, very excited about it. Those that are participating in the project, you guys are going to get access to Audience for the weekend to work on your projects. And those that are watching at home are also going to get a month-long free trial as well. So look out for that coming from us coming shortly. And on top of that, on Saturday, tomorrow, during networking, Audience is going to have a sponsor booth and a career fair booth. So if you're looking for a job or you want to figure out how Audience can work with your business, you'll have a chance to talk with the Audience team tomorrow as well. I'm glad everyone's really excited about this session. Javier, a wonderful job. Hopefully you can send me your presentation, because I'm sure people will want to check it out again. And with that, we're actually going to have a 5-minute break. So I am going to let you guys go for a bit, and we'll see you back in 5 minutes, where we welcome Hazel Savage to the stage. Thank you, Javier. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much, everyone.